I can even say that the prerequisite for Miskolc being able to provide all this to its young people is that they should not be taken into service in Ukraine, because they want to be taken into service in Ukraine. The TISA and the DEK are among the largest European war-torn parties in Brussels, and they are all talking about war there. And the leaders of the major European states have already signed an agreement that they will send soldiers and station them in Ukraine. They say that we are peacekeepers. I believe that these will not be peacekeepers, but war-keepers. And of course, what we have said to the young people in Miskolc is that their money, the money of the Miskolcians, should not be taken to Ukraine. This is where the money is needed. The money that we are being sent today is missing from the entire European economy. So they have enough mind to send it, and then suffer the consequences of this. We are not sending it. It is the fruit of the work of the Hungarians. It must be used in Hungary. We are not sending soldiers or money, and then Miskolc can develop. Although he mentioned the actors, he also mentioned Ronald Reagan when he became president. He is a legend. He held his first government session. This is what he said next. The president said two things that I hate. The communists and the traitors. They should start something. Good day. Zelensky's colleague is not famous for this. He also beats people differently. Ronald Reagan also beat people because he was a death-stranding hero. What is the difference between him and them? Who are our friends? America. That is not a bad thing for a United States. If you have to fight in the streets, it is good to have such a big brother. Our friends are the Chinese. This is a very interesting story. We do not have time for this now. But even during the communist times, after the Second World War, when the conflicts between Russia and China were regular, the Hungarian communists always occupied the border with China. Even when there were border disputes between the two countries, as we do not have any between us and China, this is not relevant here, but between China and Russia, the Hungarians always took back and rather occupied China. So there is a long-standing cooperation from the Second World War to this day, which I am trying to stop, so that it is not only a seed, but also a big tree. So our friends are the Chinese. Our friends are the Turkish world, which means not only Turkey but Central Asia as well. This is not an easy thing. Nándor, Fehérvár, Budapest, Bevetele, there are 150 of them. But still, in today's world, we can safely say that we have a friendly relationship with the Turkish world, Central Asia, and Turkey. And I do not want to say that friendship seems to be a provocation, but we have a correct, balanced relationship with the Russians. And this must be appreciated. It will have great value in the future. Now let's see if our friends are in the European Union. Well, this is a more comprehensive question, but still there are losses here. We are among ourselves. We can talk about this. I think the low level of German-Hungarian relations is a loss. There are 4 obstacles here, which are prerequisites for any major future goal. The first is that we must get out of the war. There may still be a way to talk about this. Believe me, this is a daily danger. The fact that Hungary is forced into a war is not a theoretical possibility. This is not something that is far away. This is something that knocks on the door every day, and I have to keep this door closed with my hands and feet every day. War is a daily danger for Hungary, so the first prerequisite for any major future plan is to get out of the war. The other is that our money should not be given to the Ukrainians. This may sound strict, but if you have no money, you have no big plan. Now I sit among them. 27 prime ministers and state presidents sit around the table when we meet in Europe. And I firmly tell you that they are going to go to war. These meetings are not political talks. In recent times, They have been military council meetings where they talk about how we are going to defeat the Russians, how we are going to force them to pay a good price, how we are going to make them pay back the money that we are now giving to the Ukrainians. So these are not children sitting there. These are responsible elected European leaders, and they bring in the money anyway. They send it to Ukraine. They spend it on weapons for Ukraine. They spend it on weapons for themselves. There is a real war preparation in Western Europe. I would like to recommend to everyone who is interested and excited about this to read about the times around the outbreak of the First World War. The First World War did not start as a world war. At first it was thought that it was a Balkan war. Then it became a European war. Then it became a world war. Then it became an American landing in Europe. Then it became a Hungarian state fallout. This is how we got here. So the war is very close and it is knocking on the door. Most of all because the physical core of the war is in the neighboring country. It is not far away somewhere. It is in a neighboring country. The Europeans think so. So far they have given, and I have seen the latest figures, 193 billion euros. Now they are giving 90 billion. We are around 280 billion. The Ukrainians have given in to a demand that in the next 10 years, they will need 800 billion euros to maintain Ukraine. Let's call it the Ukrainian regime. This does not include weapons and security. It will be a different matter. And the Americans got out of this. There the money speaks. They got out. They took back what they needed. They have their money. The Europeans are spending their money if they want a war. But how do we get in? So that Europe has no money? Because if Europe were to develop and had a lot of money to spend on other goals other than its own, then we might be able to do this without the introduction of a war. But what? They have no money. There is a downturn in Europe. There is no money. So the Europeans take the money from the bankers, and they give this loan to the Ukrainians as a loan. But everyone knows that the Ukrainians will not take that loan into their filthy lives, the poor people, however they can. And when the loan contract expires, the Ukrainians cannot pay it back, then the bankers take the money from the Europeans. And before that, they are constantly stealing the money. This destroys Europe. We have to say something about this, about how we do not go bankrupt. What do the European leaders say about this? They say that we will win on the front, we will defeat Russia, and we will oblige Russia to pay a fine. So let no one make a big deal out of it that a Russian nuclear power will pay a fine to Western European countries or to Ukraine. The whole thing is a story.